The following story is about a real homicide investigation with graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. Previously on The Murder Mind. When I look in the hole, I can clearly see a plastic bag and what I know to be a barrel of a handgun. My gut was telling me Bill Davis planted that weapon. So I decided to take another run at Bill. I basically just showed up at the house.
How would you feel if I came here one day and I arrested you for the murders that was occurring here?
I don't know. Might be time to really go.
At that very moment, while Bill Davis is chopping greens with this very large butcher knife, I could only think of two things. Bill Davis is about to say something incriminating, or he's gonna turn around with that butcher knife and come at me, and I'm gonna have to shoot him. At this point, I'm really concerned. As Bill Davis continues to talk to me with his back turned, Bill started to go down a dark road. He started to make me think that he was either severely depressed or at some point suicidal. Now, we've all heard suicide by cop. And at this point, I'm sitting in his kitchen and I started to feel very uneasy. So much so that I actually pushed my jacket aside and put my right hand down and had it on my weapon, thinking at any moment Bill Davis was gonna turn around with that knife and come at me and die by suicide by cop. Because at this point, I've never seen Bill Davis in this state of mind, and he's holding a weapon. This man is holding a knife. He just stopped cutting the greens and remained silent for a few seconds, and then must have had another thought, and then just began cutting the greens again. And then Bill Davis started to talk again about the investigation and his woes with not being included in the will. It was one of the most eerie and most disturbing interviews I've ever had with a suspect.
I'm sorry. Every time I get
No, Bill, it's
points, I do crack.
Bill, it's okay.
I do crack.
Bill, it's all right.
I say now I spent 27 years in the city, and I don't know where to go. I don't have nowhere to go.
Right.
And as he starts to explain to me some of the things that's going on in his life, I clearly can see that this is a different version of Bill Davis, one I haven't met yet. In my mind, at that point, because I can tell like the affect of Bill Davis as he's talking to me, and he's really going down a dark path, and he's in a low, dark, depressed place. I felt at that point, this may be an opportunity where Bill may just give up, where Bill may tell me exactly what happened with these men in the neighborhood that just turn up dead every time Bill is around. And I took that as an opportunity to press Bill. I started to ask him some very pointed questions.
Let me ask you something, just to kind of, because I know you got to cook your greens, and I got to run in a minute, but
Okay.
I'm having a really, really hard time. I'm having a really difficult time trying to wrap my mind around everything that's happened with the murders. And what I can tell you is that I've been trying to get to eliminate Bill Davis, eliminate you as a suspect, meaning, okay, to show that there's no evidence to show Bill Davis did anything. I've not been able to do that. So then I asked myself this question: if Bill Davis, William H. Davis, really did this, then there's always that question of why it happened. And I can't understand that. That's why I'm trying to understand. And the reason I ask you that question is this: I've never in my life, ever, and I've been doing this a long time, had a case like this. This is the most confusing, it's the most complicated case I've ever had. And you know why? Because always when I investigate a murder, what is always right in my face, what I could always see right away, is the why did it happen? And this is a big problem I'm having with this. And the reason I ask you this, Bill, if I were to arrest you, how would you feel about that? The reason I'm asking you that question is, would you be willing to tell me the why? Would you be able to give me an opinion as to why you think this has happened? Not why you got arrested, but why these people were killed. And I can't figure that out.
You know, I can't either.
Right.
You know, I don't know why.
I needed to figure out why this was happening. So I wasn't asking Bill Davis in this encounter, did you do it? What I asked was, Bill, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around why this is happening to your neighbors, the people you're associated with. Bill, help me understand the why. And his response was not what an innocent person would say. His actual response was, I don't know why either. I don't know. Not, I didn't do it. Not that you're wasting your time, detective. Why are you here? This is almost 2 years into the investigation, and countless number of times I've had to interview and talk to Bill Davis, and this is just another one. Not, why are you bothering me, detective? At that point, I absolutely knew I was on the right track. That is not what an innocent person would say. I want to figure it out as well, detective. Well, you know why, because you killed these people, but he just won't tell me why.
Let's just say I were to arrest you and charge you with these murders that happened around here. You just wouldn't know why, and would you be willing to tell me that? Or is that something that you can say that, hey, I take responsibility? You said it may be time to go. What do you mean by that? If I come and arrest you, you say it may be time to go. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Like if I said, Bill Davis, you're under arrest.
Well, you know,
for murder. What does that mean?
If this crossed your mind and your heart so bad, I mean, so I say, maybe I'm worth more dead than alive. And do I want to go back to the prison situation again? I thought about that. I said, why? They might make a mistake and really throw me back. If people got that kind of power, they either going to kill me direct or they're going to, lock you up and put you in prison.
Unlike cop shows where you see detectives yelling at suspects and cussing at them, that's not how things really happen. This is a relationship building exercise. I'm trying to get Bill to understand that I want to give him the best opportunity to tell me what happened and why it happened. In his mind, he's probably justified killing all of these men. I'm trying to give him an opportunity to let everybody know what's going on in Bill Davis's mind and the reasoning behind it. And if he thinks it's reasonable, maybe he wants to convince me the same. So every encounter, everything you'll hear, every interview, every recording, it's not me yelling, it's not me raising my voice. It's me talking to Bill Davis like he's a friend. I'm trying to build trust. I'm trying to build rapport with Bill Davis. And that's really how it's done in Homicide.
Well, let me say this. Me, personally, we've known each other now for almost 2 years. November will be 2 years. I said you and I have known each other almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Since November of 2007 when Dennis was killed. That's when you and I first met.
Okay.
And we've had many, many conversations over the years. Would you agree? So what I'm here to tell you is that I have nothing personal against you. Not one thing. And you mentioned something earlier. You said, well, I'm doing my job. This is my profession. This is what I get up and get paid to do every day. And I take my job seriously.
You think you got what?
I take my job very seriously. I don't take it very lightly because I'm entrusted, right, by the people that I work for, the city, the citizens, to do my job to the best of my ability. Just like you do, when you do whatever you do a good job at it. People trust you to cut their lawn or whatever it is you do, and people will say, Bill Davis did a fantastic job, because that's what you pride yourself on, my work and my commitment and my character. So I don't want you to think that there's anything personal with you and I. Never. And nor do I want you to think that there's some big conspiracy. Because I was talking to you before Miss Sims died. We had these conversations way before the will ever came into play. So I haven't changed any. My motivation and my direction has been the same before Miss Sims died. So it's not a conspiracy about a will. If I were to come here one day and say, Bill Davis, you're under arrest for murder, and take you in handcuffs and put you in our city jail, it would be because it finally got to the point where there was enough evidence, right?
What evidence you have against me that will cause you to think that I'm capable of murdering all these people?
At some point, Bill Davis asked me a very pointed question. Detective, like, what is it that you have on me? So I lay it out.
There's a lot of evidence, Bill. I mean, it's called circumstantial evidence. There's evidence that shows that, one, you knew all of the victims,
One what?
You knew all of them.
I talk about the circumstantial evidence of him being associated with the victims, about the ammunition that matches some of the victims, the gun that was found right next door over the fence line that he shares with his neighbor, the fact that he was in the company of these victims, the fact that he had conflict with these victims. And I basically told Bill Davis, this is a mountain of evidence against you, or you are just the most unluckiest person I've ever met in my life. It was astronomical, the amount of circumstantial evidence. And Bill understood that. Even presented with all of that evidence, Bill Davis never admitted to anything.
To go do something like that to them. You said you had some other people that you were suspecting.
Well, I've been able to eliminate all those people. I've been able to eliminate everybody else as a suspect, and the only one I can't eliminate is you. That's why I keep talking to you, because, I mean, that's my point to you. I've been trying to say, okay, everybody else, alibied out. Everybody else was somewhere else. Everybody else could have done it. They were in prison. They were somewhere else. But now the only person left that I cannot alibi out, the one that I cannot clear.
I give you every alibi it was. I have. Time after time again.
We were playing poker. I was trying to show my hand to get him to fold, and he had a poker face on the entire time. So in previous encounters with Bill Davis, I've asked him to take a polygraph test, and he refused. This particular interview at his house, as I'm sitting in his kitchen, I saw it as another opportunity to ask him again.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph test?
No, I don't go through that now. We won't go through that. That goes, 90% goes that way.
The science changed. Polygraph is so accurate now that it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for it to be wrong, and it's not even admissible in court. It's only for me, for my satisfaction.
No.
You wouldn't take one?
No.
Okay.
So at this point, Bill Davis and I have been going around in circles, sitting in his kitchen, and I realized he's not coming off of anything. I felt unsafe, and it's time to end this interview.
You know, all of the evidence is, for me to sit down and explain it to you, it would take more time than the next 5 minutes. So maybe we can do that another time. Like I said, nothing with you and I ever, with me, is personal. I got nothing against Bill Davis. Matter of fact, you've always treated me with kindness and respect.
Well,
every time we
I told you, you checked it out. I hope it bagged itself up. I really don't know. Not me.
I'm just trying to be fair, Bill. I'm trying to be fair. You know, I'm trying to be fair to you, being a gentleman.
What's fair and what's right?
Well, what's right is maybe not always what is fair to somebody that believes. But my job is to follow the truth, wherever the truth takes me. And if that brings me back to you, then that's where I gotta go.
Well, I want to be more productive on your end and mine, if I possibly can. And I just want to know, what is the right way?
Let me tell you what the right way is. The truth is always the right way.
Mm-hmm.
The truth. The truth is always the right way. You know who says that? That's who says that. Think about that, all right? All right?
Right.
See you later.
Right. Thank you.
Think about it. The truth will set you free.
Thank you.
I thank Bill Davis for his time. I get in my car and I go back to the office and I start thinking about what am I going to do next. My thought process of Bill Davis after this particular interview, I started to realize that Bill Davis started to deteriorate a little bit. It was almost as if whatever this 2-year ordeal dealing with me, Detective Velazquez, has started to wear on him. Nellie Sims has died. His future is uncertain. He's not sure where he's going to live. And this is the point where I'm thinking either Bill Davis is going to crack, he's going to kill somebody else, or he's going to kill himself. I know I've got to do something different. I've got to do something big. I've got to think outside the box. I've got to come up with another plan to try to get this case resolved. And as I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, what's my next move? I came up with an idea that was crazy. The idea I had was to conduct an undercover assignment to lure the killer in. The first person I had to speak to was the wife of Dennis McGuire and explain to her, I want to have an undercover FBI agent pose as a real estate agent. And the story is, you're so distraught that you need to sell the house. And my idea was Bill Davis, being the handyman in the neighborhood that we knew he was, as he saw this female agent dressed in a real estate outfit with name tags on, would approach her, find out what she was doing, and then offer his services as she saw her out there trying to tidy up the yard with a sign that said for sale. My idea was, knowing Bill Davis and a skilled undercover FBI agent, knowing what to say to elicit responses from suspects, that Bill Davis would start talking about the murder. My hope was that Bill Davis, as he's speaking of perhaps being investigated himself, would start to tell the undercover agent about his involvement the day of the murder when he was on scene and taking the agent through the timeline. What I was looking for were inconsistencies in the statements that Bill Davis had given me up until that point. I wasn't expecting a confession. What I was expecting was Bill Davis slipping up and saying something that was incriminating. At this point in the investigation, I don't have any hard evidence linking Bill Davis to these murders. I don't have any forensic evidence, no fingerprints, no fibers, no DNA. But what I do have, I have a ton of circumstantial evidence. So if this plan were to work, and I could get Bill Davis to say something that was inconsistent or slip up and say something that's incriminating to the undercover FBI agent, that may be all I need for the mountain of other circumstantial evidence that existed so far. At this point, this is a Hail Mary. We're trying to do everything we can do to build this case because all roads at this point are pointing to Bill Davis. And with no hesitation, Mrs. McGuire was on board. She wanted to solve this case. She was willing to do whatever it took to help us get to the point where we could identify the killer. And if that was Bill Davis, then prosecute him for her husband's murder. And at that point, the plan was hatched. We just had to get all the players involved. The initial meeting with the FBI was with the local branch of the undercover unit. In explaining what my plan was and my desire to pull this off, they were on board. They actually found an agent that lived out of state who flew in, and we all briefed on the scenario. And then we started to formulate the plan on what day we were going to kick this off. It was just a matter of going over the script, getting the undercover agent acclimated with who Bill Davis was, allowing that agent to hear previous conversations and interviews I've had with Bill Davis, showing the agent the crime scene photos, bringing the agent up to speed on the gravity of these cases, the complexity of the investigation, how long the investigation had been ongoing, the evidence so far that I had against Bill Davis. All of those things were briefed with the FBI undercover agent because at this point in the investigation, I was the only one in law enforcement who knew Bill Davis very well. I had been communicating with Bill Davis for over a year now. So I knew Bill Davis, I knew his personality, and don't forget, for the last year and a half, I've been playing cat and mouse with this guy. So I knew who he was. I knew exactly what to tell this agent to expect. And when the agent and I agreed on what the script would be, all we had to do was pick a date and put that sign in the ground that said for sale. So right now, it's the day of the operation. We meet at a predetermined location not far from the McGuire residence. The idea was once the FBI agent posing as a real estate agent puts all the pieces in play, the sign in the yard, flower pots on the front, she was to go to Bill Davis's door and knock on it and tell him that she heard he was the man in the neighborhood who may be able to help her out with some handiwork. At that point, the undercover agent is wired up. Due to the undercover nature of the operation involving the FBI, we're not able to share the actual video that shows the interaction between the FBI agent and Bill Davis. I'm listening as the agent pulls up to the front of Bill Davis's home, and under her breath, she says, "Okay, I'm walking up to the door," and my heart is beating fast. And I'm thinking, this is it. This is the moment where we're either gonna get what we need, get Bill Davis on board, get that hook in his mouth to get this operation kicked off, or we're gonna be dead in the water. And then I can hear the agent's footsteps walking up to the door. I can hear her knock on the door, and then pause, and we're waiting. And then all of a sudden I can hear Bill Davis's door open, and I hear him say hello. And I'm like, here we go. I was on pins and needles wondering what's gonna come next. And I'm gonna tell you all about it in the next episode. Coming up on The Murder Mind. She saw something sticking out of his waistband under his sweater that she believed to be a gun. It literally was an oh shit moment. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit the like button and subscribe. And please check me out on other social media platforms, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Lastly, don't forget to come back for the next episode. You won't want to miss it.